Hello, and welcome to another episode of Tenacity, Truth, and Tea. So, today I want to talk about something that people don't seem to talk about, which is how unnatural it is to do marketing as a solopreneur coach, professional freelancer, or a course creator. It's seriously a mindfuck. It's something I've thought a lot about as I've been launching the selfie challenge and putting it together. And launching it, especially over this past couple of weeks. And it's one thing to sell a car or something to someone and talk about how awesome the car is. And another thing entirely to put out day after day of social media post or content talking about how amazing you and your life are. And then also to strategically spin your regular everyday activities into proof of your awesomeness. Like, there is so much I've learned from that, and that is just life, right? We do have to make our gifts obvious to people, because if we don't, they aren't going to notice it a lot of the time. So for me, that has actually been a really profound learning experience, but it's still unnatural. And, let's just say it, right? The humble brag really isn't that humble, right? Like, it isn't. And I'm sorry, but I don't think everyone really wakes up at 5 a.m., works out for an hour, does some sort of mantra, and then kills it in their zone of genius, or zone of confidence, like all day long, every single day, all year, years and years on end. It's just, I doubt it. Sure, people go through periods like that. I go through periods like that too, where I am just like awesome. I wake up early, I start work, I'm in a great mood, I'm positive, blah, 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 right? But being, upbeat, efficient, and brilliant all the time, like being a robot, is sort of what we have to do in this position, right? Or at least that's what we feel like we have to project. To show weakness is, weak. And the one thing we know about humans is that the stronger, the less emotional, the less sensitive we are, the more respect they're given. People who are steadfast in their beliefs or are bullies are often adored. They are even put up on a pedestal, like, some sort of messiah or God. And I get it. I do that too. When I see someone who becomes stronger when things, that don't go that well for them, they impress the hell out of me. I seriously do inspire to be like them. Are they lying? Are they fake? Honestly, I don't know. I don't even know if they know, and I don't even think that's the point. But I do believe that as your business grows, or as our business grows, and we have more support, it becomes a lot easier to live in your zone of genius, which makes us feel more confident. It makes you feel more invincible. It makes life feel more magical. And let's either agree or agree to disagree that it's probably easier to have someone else do the humble bragging for us. It's almost like being a movie star, right? And having your own entourage. People to lift you up and hype you up when you can't seem to do it for yourself. And this is partly because, we're doing it all, right? You're moving between web developer, ads manager, content creator, copy editor, tech assistant, admin assistant, CEO, etc., 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 right? Like, it's just hard. Admit it, and that's fine. And I know that when I coach my clients, it is so much easier being strategic, creative, and organized. I've been coaching clients to help them get more results from their ads, and have been amazed by their results. They just do it so, like, they just move so quickly, right? And I've wondered, like, why am I slower than them? And I've thought about that a lot. And this is what I've realized. I've realized that when I'm talking to them, I'm one thing, right? Like, I'm a strategist. I'm drawing on my experience in the online marketing world and in branding and everything else that I have done and do, to sort of help them improve what they're doing, figure out what to do, help them stay motivated, and positive along the way. I'm not thinking in the back of my mind, like, it's a good idea, but, I have to do that now. And how do I do that? And I get kind of like distracted by the whole, like, technical aspect or, process involved. Like, I'm not thinking about that with them, right? Because, if they bring it up, I will help them solve it. But it's not stopping me from being creative or strategic. And I'm not looking at myself and, trying to coach myself into being positive, right? Like, I'm coaching them. It's just a whole other element that is it makes it a lot simpler, and has really left me open to being a lot more strategic, creative, organized. I keep my clients so organized. I share options for them. They make the decision and then they get going, and I support them along the way. It's simpler, it's cleaner, So, okay, yeah, like, duh, Susanna, of course, that makes sense, right? Like, what does that mean? What do we do? Do we all have to go out and get our own entourage? And ideally, of course, yeah, it's great to have an outside ear and support, especially when it's strategic and, they're a little bit empathetic, at least, right? There are some coaches who just, try and keep you positive, but there's no strategy, and vice versa. So, having both is really, really powerful. But also, what I've noticed is that a way to get into that space is by batching your work. Basically, you're putting on different hats at different times, and you are being one thing at a time. It's actually one of the reasons I did the selfie challenge. My husband challenged me to do it because I did actually need some updated professional pictures. But like, if I needed a post with a picture, I'd have to stop what I was doing and take one. I would get distracted, it'd make it hard for me to get back into what I was doing. And, it would be like 3 hours or 4 hours before I'd like get back to whatever it was that I needed the picture for. And it was the same if I needed an image for a blog post or a sales page or anything else, really, right? It was just so distracting. And I really love how the Selfie Upgrade course helps people elevate their brands and then feel more confident, not just in their business, but in their hearts, like about themselves. But I also love, for me as well, that it helped to simplify and speed things up in my business. And, it's a popular thing, right? Batching. And it's something I want to do a lot more of this year. A lot of people talk about this. They'll go away for a week or a few days all by themselves, and they will, plan out their entire quarter or their entire year, write out an entire year's worth of blog posts or whatever, right? And, I won't do that, at least not yet. But my accountability partner and I have agreed to talk, have a slightly longer talk once a month to plan for the month ahead, to talk every 3 months, to have a bigger planning and strategy session where we, help each other map out the next 3 to 4 months. And before that, even, just because of how helpful I found the selfie upgrade challenge, I, started client only call days, calls, days of the week that I will only talk to clients. And, it's been amazing. It didn't happen overnight. I actually really struggled with it for a really, 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 really long time. I just, deciding which days to dedicate to phone calls. It was I don't know why that was so hard, but it was really, really hard for me. But I think the secret is just starting with one thing. For me, it was the selfie challenge. The second thing I did was client call days. Made a really big difference to just start at one thing, stick with it, see how it goes, and then add, one thing in at a time. One of the things that it's helped me do, and I think it will help you do as well if you decide that this is something you want and need to do, it helps to flex our CEO muscles so that when you're ready for it, when the time comes, not just in processes, not just in mindset or processes, we're actually ready for it. You know what I mean? We're ready for it in our mind, and we have the processes to make that transition super smooth. And since I launched the selfie challenge course, I definitely know, as I was saying, that this applies to pictures as well, right? The whole idea of how unnatural it is to share pictures of ourselves, right? It's bizarre. I think I don't know, I don't want to speak for other generations, but, being of the Gen X generation, you just didn't brag about how awesome you are, right? You didn't you just didn't do that. So it's definitely weird for me. It could be that maybe it's the same thing for the younger and older generations as well. But it's something we have to do. I don't even think we feel like we have to do it. I actually think we have to do it, unless, of course, it's a total misalignment with our niche or brand, right? And even then, it's probably a good idea to share at least a few on brand, obviously, pictures of ourselves, for our profile photos, on the occasional update, just every once in a while. First, it's helpful for us personally, because when we feel good about how we come across, we feel good. And when we feel good, we're more confident, we're more willing, and we're more excited to put ourselves out there and actually talk to people. Just think about when you feel stupid or ugly or whatever, you don't feel social, you don't feel like you want to be around people. As someone who has had social anxiety in the past, when I was younger, I didn't know it was social anxiety. I'd get stomach cramps if I had to go out to a big event a lot of the time. And, now that I understand what was going on, I get that it was me just being anxious about, having to be around people because I was shy and awkward and was afraid I wouldn't know what to say. And I felt stupid and ugly, and I didn't want anyone to, realize that. So anyways, I know a lot of people who do very well without sharing a lot of pictures of themselves, and they have no intention of doing that. And that's great, right? to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of sharing pictures of myself every 2 seconds either. But I do know that for me, having professional photos of myself has really, really done wonders for me. Is it unnatural for me to share? Yes, hell yes. Do I like it? Not really, but it definitely doesn't bother me as much as it used to. And, when I look at a picture of myself and I'm like, oh, like, I'm not as ugly as I thought. Like, it's kind of a good feeling. And this is important. This goes back to batching. If I'm 100% honest, it definitely helps to take photos on days that are dedicated to taking photos. And then to just, do it again several months or a year later or whatever, right? I just wait for a day that I'm in the mood, a day that I don't feel ugly, that I've had a good sleep, that I've actually taken care of my face, at least for a couple of days, that I feel good about myself. Makes a huge difference. Definitely makes it feel less crazy to share these pictures of myself because I don't completely hate them. And because I've psychologically, put myself in the mood for it for a few days before doing it, I actually can have fun when I'm doing it. Like it's silly. I feel silly, but I also have fun. So, as I move into this year, I'm going to be looking for other ways to do batching, but I highly recommend this one way just because it has so many far-reaching effects. It's so bizarre. Like I would have laughed at myself 5 years ago or even 3 years ago if someone said I'd have a selfie upgrade challenge course, right? But the effects just go so far beyond, elevating our brands, making them look more professional and all that stuff, right? When we start feeling good about how we look, when we feel good, inside, it comes out. And that confidence is contagious. And, like I was saying at the beginning of this, people who have that are people that we're drawn to. And even though, obviously I'm not a bully, at least I hope I'm not a bully, and you're probably not a bully, you can still sort of have that confidence despite not feeling like that every single day. Anyways, I hope that inspires you. I hope that helps. And, grab the selfie challenge if you would love to have some photos of yourself that don't necessarily look like selfies. Even if you don't know how to take pictures of yourself, even if you aren't a camera whiz, even if you don't have a camera, I just do these with my photos and, help you guys get the best that you possibly can out of natural light or super, super inexpensive equipment. Anyways, have a great day, and I will see you next week.